in the Ow! What the shit was that?
YouTube is an autistic wonderland. It is a place where people make some of the most degenerate content imaginable. It is a place where people who lack knowledge on animation come to spread their retarded opinions on how animators should make cartoons. That's right. It is time to go after the cartoon community again. God, I miss doing these videos. The last time I went after this horrid shit show of a community was around 3 months ago. Today, however, we are looking at a reviewer who isn't a complete degenerate, but is someone that deserves a special look. That's right. I am talking about Jem Reviews. Before I go into why I don't like his content, I just want to say, what the fuck is this? Oh god. So, like, if I were to steal his avatar's head, could I sell it for like $10,000 or something? Or is that a fucking Chaos Emerald on top of his body? Holy shit. It's Mr. Chaos Emerald Head. Anyways, I think I dragged this intro long enough. Let's begin with the fucking video. Now, here is my first problem with Jem's videos. I do not like his reviewing style at all. Now, his reviewing style is basically the same type of style you see with a lot of other reviewers. And let me just say that this style has become very archaic. The reviewing style I am talking about is when he decides to mainly give a plot summary of the episode he is reviewing, and he cuts away every time he wants to say something. The reason why this style of reviewing has become very archaic is because it does not allow the reviewer to go more in depth with what they are actually talking about. Instead, they just talk about what goes on in the episode with little explanation. Now, don't get me wrong, it's okay to have a little summary in these reviews. Hell, if you're making an episodic review, I would say that it's basically mandatory to have some summary. The problem is that Jem has too much summary, and this leads to his videos having little explanation. Like, 75% of his review is summary, while only 25% is actual explanation. That's pretty much a rough estimate for a lot of his videos, and it should be the opposite way around. Here is a literal example.
And fate itself comes a-knocking as the first student Miss Bliss sees is Helga, being her normal, bitchy self. And after witnessing Helga's bullying of Arnold and knocking out Brainy, she talks to Principal Wards about having a therapy session with her, which Big Bob is of course unhappy by, even telling Helga not to discuss what goes on in their home life.
This is a reviewing style that many other reviewers conveniently share, which leads me to my second point. Jem Reviews is very unoriginal when it comes to his thoughts and his opinions. He mainly just copies a lot of other reviewers when it comes to their opinions most of the time. The reviewer he mainly does it with is Mr. Enter. Now, let me just say that it is fine to agree with another YouTuber, okay? I'm not criticizing that. For fuck's sake, I actually agree with other YouTubers on a daily basis, okay? It's human nature to agree with other people, okay? I am not saying you have to be this edgy contrarian for the sake of being original, but when you have almost the exact same opinions as another YouTuber, and you mention the YouTuber in question in a lot of your videos, which Jem does, it gets annoying. One good example of this is his review on the SpongeBob episode, The Card. Jem literally said this in his video.
Now I know I promised you guys another top 10 worst SpongeBob episodes list, and I'm currently working on it right now. But while working on it, I was reminded of this now infamous episode of SpongeBob, and I decided to do a review on it because I really have a lot to say about this episode. Now this episode has gotten a lot of hate because of the mysterious Mr. Enter putting it on his top 10 Patrick's a Prick episodes list. And in that video, he criticizes this episode because it's the episode that confirms that Patrick isn't actually stupid and he's fully aware of the wrong he's doing. I've been hearing this argument a lot from my own fans as well since I left it off my top 10 worst SpongeBob episodes video, with some even going as far as to call this one of the worst SpongeBob episodes ever.
It begs the question on why he even needed to mention Enter in that part of the video. He said it himself that his own fans kept telling him that The Card was the worst episode of SpongeBob. It seems to me that he's only mentioning Enter just to show everybody that he agrees with Enter's opinion. Here's another example of this in which Jem unintentionally admits that his opinions are not very original when it comes to cartoons. This time, he does it with Phantom Strider.
Phantom Strider already did a list like this. But you don't need to worry, because I'm setting a few rules that will guarantee my list is almost completely different from his. First off, I'm only allowed to put 2 episodes that were on his list onto my list.
That's right, people. He has to set a challenge on himself. As in, he wants to be as original as possible. Therefore, he needs to make sure to everybody that he doesn't put Phantom Strider's picks for his list. Seriously, Jem, if you were truly an original critic, this wouldn't even be an issue. You wouldn't need to set this arbitrary challenge on yourself, and you would just give your own thoughts and your own opinions. The reason why this is a problem to me is because it gives the reviewer a lack of identity. It's basically along the lines of, why watch this reviewer when there's another reviewer who I can watch, right? And this is especially important because he shares the same reviewing style as Enter, and he also makes countdown videos like Phantom Strider. And I just feel as if he should be a lot more original when it comes to his thoughts and opinions and how he structures his videos. My main problem with Jem Reviews is that he does a poor job explaining jokes, or he doesn't get the joke made in a cartoon. Seriously, I have a crap ton of examples of this happening, but I'll only give a few, alright? So, here are a few examples of this shit.
I don't suppose you're from AAA, are you? Who? AAA, you know? AAA. Oh, AAA? Hey, I just came from AA. No, not AA, AAA. Yeah, that's what I said. AAA.
I admit this scene is kind of stupid, but in a good way. I just enjoy the pun centered around this Canadian's A. It goes on a tad too long, make no mistake, but the payoff is kind of funny, because he also gives them his leg.
Why'd we take his leg?
Well, we're in their country, Brian. We have to observe their customs. Oh dear.
I can't explain why that scene works, for me it just does. But, in all honesty, that's something I wouldn't expect most people to love.
Now, he doesn't really go into why the A joke was funny. Now, to be fair, he does give a small explanation as to why he finds it funny, because, you know, he talks about the pun between the term A and the letter A. But he doesn't really talk about why Stewie's dialogue was funny, because his dialogue also makes up the joke. I feel as if he should have explained the joke more. As for the leg joke, he doesn't really explain anything at all. He even says that he can't really explain why the joke is funny. When you're a reviewer, you have to explain 100% as to why you like or don't like something. If your explanation was that it's funny because it's random, that's an explanation. I know what you're trying to say, Jem, but you need to know how to convey your thoughts correctly, you fucking autist. Another example of this shit is his review on the SpongeBob episode The Card, which I've already mentioned in this video. And it's also his character analysis on Patrick Star, in which he tried to claim that Patrick was a malicious psychopath and not just a stupid character. He does this by using various examples of Patrick supposedly acting smart to show that he is smarter than he actually is.
Now I can think of 2 pre-movie SpongeBob episodes that confirm that Patrick isn't actually stupid, or is just pretending to be stupid. And my evidence for both of these theories also came in the form of a line of dialogue, just like in The Card. In the episode Procrastination, SpongeBob calls Patrick to distract himself from writing a paper, and Patrick says this:
SpongeBob, you and I both know that you're just using me as a distraction so you don't have to write your essay.
There's a line in the episode I Had an Accident where Sandy and Patrick have this exchange.
Don't you have to be stupid somewhere else?
Not until 4.
Okay, first of all, these clips are immediately discredited simply because they are mainly jokes, right? This is an example of you just not understanding comedy, man. But let's play devil's advocate here, okay? Even if these clips were supposed to be taken seriously, which they aren't, SpongeBob is a show that has very little, if any, continuity at all. In fact, there is so little continuity in SpongeBob that there is an entire list of the different continuity errors that happen in each of the episodes, courtesy of the official SpongeBob Wikia. The official Wikia even states blatantly that SpongeBob and Patrick can be dumber or smarter in various episodes. This could be explainable because it depends on the activity. I'll link the Wikia in the description below. But even ignoring that, some of the examples he uses are very poor. The clip he used from Procrastination, when Patrick told him that he had an essay to complete, is a bad example, mostly because Patrick said that in a dream. In the same episode, the mailman also knew that he had a paper to write, and the episode ends with SpongeBob waking up from a terrible dream. This is obvious considering how would Patrick and the mailman even know about SpongeBob's paper if they were real? All of this basically shows that you don't understand the joke in question. Another example of him not understanding jokes is in this one clip.
Now with that said, I don't completely hate this episode. I just find it pretty bland and a bit mean-spirited. This episode is about SpongeBob's grandma kissing him at work, and everyone making fun of him for it. Why they're making fun of him for it, I honestly don't know. It seems very cold and unneeded to me.
Dude, that's the fucking joke they were going for, and the thing to set up the conflict. I shouldn't have to explain this, for fuck's sake. One last example and I'm done.
Throughout the entire episode, Eddie is suffering some of the worst things you can imagine. He is rolled over by a cylinder, hit by a falling lamppost, sprayed by a skunk, and hit by a truck every time the phone rings. And throughout all of that, Double D says they're merely coincidences.
I assure you, there is a rational reason for this mischance, Eddie. Maybe it's on to us, Eddie.
That's why it's funny. It's supposed to be an extremely ironic joke that the character who is obsessed with logic, science, and reason looks at all of these scientifically impossible events and tries to paint a logical picture by saying that curses don't exist. Oh no! But because it's mean-spirited, it's a bad episode. Some people might tell me, well, MegaDoop, this is one of his older videos, so he may have changed his thoughts or opinions or whatever. Well, my good friend, he didn't. In his most recent Edda and Eddie video, he still talks about how this episode sucks just because it's fucking mean-spirited. Just because it's supposed to, like, oh no, how dare the cursed phone affect the character so badly. Like, that's so stupid, man. This is a complaint that only a fucking degenerate would use. I could easily say that the old Looney Tune cartoons are bad because they are also mean-spirited.
Right. Wabbit season. Duck season. Wabbit season. Wabbit season. Duck season. Fire!
Oh my god, guys. Bugs just tricked Daffy into being shot in the face. This episode is so mean-spirited, therefore it's bad. I'm alright, guys. I promise. Here's another problem I have with Jem Reviews. Jem Reviews is not a very good editor. Now, I try not to be a complete asshat about video editing, seeing as how not everybody is like, you know, born to be a decent editor and stuff. You know, I understand that. Hell, the editing I use in my videos is really minimal. But at least with me, I try not to have any editing mistakes, as I believe the minimal editing isn't a problem as long as I don't make any objective mistakes. And that's the only thing I expect from YouTubers. Having minimal editing is fine, but editing mistakes is the problem. And yes, there is a difference between the two. In the Family Guy review that I mentioned earlier, at some points in the video, the music was too loud and the audio balancing was shit. I'm not exaggerating this either. A lot of people in the comments section brought it up, as well as Jem himself. Now, I could go over some other examples of Jem's poor editing, editing in his videos essentially, but this video's become long enough already, and I don't want to drag it out unnecessarily, but basically from what I've seen, Jem can really improve on the editing. Seriously, Jem, you are a fast growing YouTube channel with nearly 30,000 subscribers. This type of shit is not excusable now, man. So, in conclusion, I honestly don't think that Jem is a terrible reviewer, to be honest, and he is and I will give Jem a lot of credit here, right? He is very accepting of criticism. Like, I even told him on Twitter, I told him blatantly that I was going to be as much of a dick, as much of an asshole as humanly possible, and he seemed pretty okay by it, and I gotta give him respect, man. He's not a cartoon reviewer who's unable to take any criticism, whether or not it be harsh or nice. He seems like a pretty decent guy, so I don't really hate this guy. I just don't like his videos, and I think they could be much better. Again, despite me saying that his videos are shit, I still think that it's much better than, reviewers like Vale, Kolobi, to an extent, maybe Baseball Sam 1. Like, at the end of the day, that's not really saying much. That's like saying that, that me puking today felt a lot better than me puking yesterday. It doesn't really matter because I still fucking puked. That was a fucking terrible analogy, I know, but you guys get the idea. Anyways, thank you for watching this episode of the Reviewer Review. I just want to apologize for me taking too long with this episode, college shit, and just, not gonna lie, just me being lazy in general, but I promise to make more videos for you guys, including Fandoms Freaking Suck. And just as a quick little update for the next episode of FFS2, I still have the straw poll open. This is going to be the final video where you can vote on the straw poll, and after, let's say, around maybe a couple days, I will pretty much stop the straw poll voting, and the next episode will be announced on Twitter. So, stay tuned, guys. Anyways, this is MegaDoop TV here, the Ultra Ant here, signing off. Have a nice day, everybody. Fucking degenerate spurgs.